All
Sarah.
right.
Sarah, congratulations for Three Pines on Prime Video.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Hey, it's terrific. I know it's been out for a while and it's getting a lot of good reception. So once again, congratulations. So tell us what initially attracted you to this project.
Sure. Well, for me, I just receive auditions from my agent. So when I opened this specific audition, I saw who was involved and the caliber of the project. And I was just kind of blown away like, wow, this is an amazing opportunity. Although I don't think I would ever get cast in this, I feel like they'll bring in a name. Or, I was just happy to be able to put myself on tape for it because I knew the casting director because they were a Montreal casting director, and that's where I grew up. So I kind of put myself on tape just being like, hey, this would be a fantastic role to get, but I don't really expect anything from it. So I'm just gonna, you know, kind of create a character that makes me happy, throw some spaghetti at the wall and see if it sticks. And I guess they liked what I did.
That is great. And
Hmm.
the people that you were talking about, you were referring to like Alfred Molina was the big draw, or was it the other Canadian on
Well,
this?
actually, I didn't know Alfred was cast until 2 weeks after I was cast. But I saw that it was the producers of The Crown and Left Bank Pictures, which is behind Outlander and so many other, amazing shows. So I knew that this was probably going to be a pretty special one. But then when I found out Alfred was cast, I was like, okay, this is gonna be a really good show. He's high caliber.
So when you auditioned, did you audition for the role of Yvette Nicole in the all the
In the
way?
first round, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I auditioned for her right away. I When I received the breakdown, I looked at the book series because I hadn't heard of Louise Penny before. So I kind of went down the Louise Penny rabbit hole for a few hours and realized that the character I was auditioning for was actually quite different in the books than in the series, what they were asking for. So it kind of gave me a lot of liberty to create a character from scratch and to also create a character with the creators of the show, which was really fun. So they gave me some inspirations, and I was able to just have a lot more fun with her, I think.
So you did actually catch up with the books
I
in
did, yes. I didn't read the books while I was shooting the series because I would get confused throughout the storylines. But I did read 4 books before we started shooting, and then I'm up to book number 9 now. So I'm
Oh
catching up.
wow.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I do audiobooks because I'm on the road a lot. I travel a lot, so it's just perfect to pop in my headphones and get caught up on all my favorite characters.
So how different is Yvette from the series you're in and the books?
Well, she definitely has some similarities. She is, a rookie cop who wants to learn how to be a detective and be part of this amazing team with Gamache and Lacoste and Beauvoir. But in the book series, she definitely takes Gamache's advice, but kind of puts, her own flavor on it or thinks, okay, that's great advice, but I think I'll do it this way. So she's a little bit more stubborn and rude. Definitely, I would say. In the series, she does have moments where she's a little bit rude, but I think it comes more from an ignorance than a judgment, I would say. So there's slight differences. I feel like it's rooted in a lot of the same, I guess, the same themes, but she just has like a different essence to her versus more of a negative essence in the books and maybe a little bit more positive in the series.
I feel like what I've been watching so far, I feel like Inspector Gamache and the team doesn't really respect Yvette too much, or is that something that they have to learn to grow
I
into?
think what's really fun about her is that socially she's not the easiest person to be around, but what I think they will discover, and I think what she has to offer, is that she does have a little bit of what Gamache has, not in the same way, but Gamache will look at a crime and see so many interesting different layers that someone like Beauvoir is very factual. He gets into the psychology of the victim, the possible, the suspects. He really gets into a different aspect of crime solving. And I think Yvette definitely will have that to offer as well, where it's a little bit more unconventional. And I describe her very much like she has puppy energy. So she wants to please, she wants to be part of the gang, but she also has this way about her where she needs to really sniff out all the paths. She doesn't leave any stone unturned, as my lovely co-star Anna Tierney describes her. So yeah, I feel like she will bring, a great asset to the group, but it just might be a little bit unconventional and different.
And she looks good in a uniform, or you
She
look good in
does.
a uniform.
Thank you. Honestly, for me, it's costume. When I put the costume on is when I'm like, oh, there she is. So putting on, my belt with all of my props, and it just like right away changes the way you sit, the way you move, everything. My first day on set, I remember I did a scene, which we haven't seen yet, but there's a lot of police officers around me. And I put my belt on and I was like, man, like all I want to do is stick my thumbs like in my loopholes and kind of like lean. And I was like, oh, that's probably way too cliche. Like, all cops do that in movies and stuff. And then I saw all the police officers around me, and a lot of the time they'll hire real police officers because they know exactly what they're doing for film sets. And I looked at every single one was doing the same thing. So I was like, okay, it's good. I can do that. The cliche is truth.
Wow, wait. So if that was your first scene that you filmed, so that means a lot of the stuff here is filmed out of order?
Yes. So we ended up shooting the series backwards for weather.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Okay.
Yeah, because of the pandemic, I think there was some delays and some changes in schedule. So we ended up shooting the first two episodes last, and the last two episodes first. So it was a
Oh,
lot to wrap our minds around as actors, to be like, okay, so we're starting at the end, so we have to establish where we want to finish and then kind of move backwards.
I was going to say is because this series is built on these crime episodes are built like one or two or three episodes each,
Mhm.
and it concludes. So if you're going backwards, that's a that really messes up with your head.
Yeah. Well, what we're lucky with is, so each week we have the two episodes, and each two episodes is what we call a block of shooting. So the like the mini mysteries of the week were contained to being shot at the same time. Everything's usually shot out of order within that block, depending on what location you're at. But at least we were shooting like not just, we weren't shooting episode 6 and then, or sorry, yeah, episode 6 and then episode 5. We were shooting episodes 5, 6 at the same time, but still, we shot them right after 7, 8, and then 3, 4, and then 1, 2. So we just had to make sure that our arcs as characters were, we had a lot of conversations before we started shooting just to make sure we were all on the same page.
Well, that's actually very fortunate. I mean, it's, that is some organization.
It
It's
is. I don't know how they did it, and I don't want to know.
now, of course, a lot of television series aren't designed this way. Usually, it has like a overreaching arc. But with the mini mysteries, does that actually help you per se? Where basically it starts, you do it, and it concludes fairly quickly.
Yeah, it's really nice because we were able to, a few of the cast members, we really read the books and got into it. So it was really fun to kind of, us as well, have, it took us, I would say, about a month for each block. So for each two episodes to shoot. So it was fun. Each month was kind of like a different theme, a different backdrop, different guest actors as well, which was really fun. We had so many amazing actors from Montreal, and every single actor on the show, with the exception of Alfred Molina, is Canadian. So that was really fun. But we consider him a Canadian now because he's curled, he's had maple syrup, and he knows quite a few French words. So we're very proud of him.
Oh, is that the basic requirements of
Pretty
becoming
much.
a
And he's really nice. So
He is absolutely. Yeah, I know. While watching the series, I was going, gosh, so many things happen in such a small village of Three Pines. I mean, how
right.
many mysteries or murders can we have?
Well, so far there are 18 books. So far, 18. 18 murders.
So, what what do you love about this series itself? I mean, personally, I think I know it's kind of funny to say um, from my perspective is that Inspector Gamache is not the most interesting thing about the series, but all the other characters are the
Mhm.
most interesting part of Three Pines, including your character.
Oh, thank you. Well, I think what's really fun about this series too is that Gamache's character isn't like a traditional detective where a lot of detectives are broken, are struggling in their personal lives. There's a lot of that going on, and it makes the series more about them because of all the issues they're struggling with. But I think what's really fun about our series is that Gamache is a straight arrow. Like he's such, a respectful, empathetic man, and he is so good at his job that we're able to really discover this town through him and all these quirky characters to kind of balance out the storylines and he just feels very much like a rock. So I feel like we have the liberty to have a lot of quirky characters because I think if he was a little bit out there, it would be a lot to take in.
Yes, that is true. So where is
Yeah.
all this filmed? Is this all filmed outside of Montreal too?
Yes, it is. So, what was really special about it for me is that I grew up an hour south of Montreal in a little town called Ormstown, which is where I am right now. And the show is shot in a little town called Saint Armand, which is about an hour away from here. And some of our locations were as close as 20 minutes from my house here. So it was really fun to come back home to play, the biggest character that I've ever been able to play. So it's kind of a nice full circle moment for me. And I was able to bring so much of my childhood and the town that I grew up in into this character. So I think that was really special for me. And my accent is my mom, so it wasn't too far of a reach for me.
Your accent is your mom.
It's
We're
my
talking
mom.
about both the English and the French accent.
Yeah, in when she speaks English, she has a French Canadian accent. So yeah, so a lot of people were like, "Wow, like did you get a dialect coach, or how'd you how'd you find that subtle accent?" And I was like, "I grew up with it my whole life."
So when you're playing Yvette, you also had a little bit of a comedy background yourself. I mean, you eased into that pretty flawlessly.
Thank you. Well, actually, most of my roles have been really dramatic, and I feel like I do have the comedy chops, but I've just always kind of been cast and drawn to more dramatic roles, which I love to do as well. And I do a lot of stunt work, so I tend to get a lot of the darker, more physical roles. But I think it'll be really fun for a lot of people will discover me through this show. And then they'll be able to kind of go back and look at my previous work and be like, oh wow, okay, very different, very different. But I'm really happy to be doing comedy because I feel like my dog's barking. Sorry. I feel like it's quite close to me, which is really nice. Yeah.
I was going to say you kind of do a little bit of stunt work or some physicality on this series.
Yeah, I do. I do. I got to do some of some a little bit of action on the show, and I had amazing stunt doubles. So that was really nice to have someone double me. They were just fantastic, my two doubles, and sometimes production won't let you do anything too crazy because they need you later on.
Now, in preparation for this role, because she is a deputy, did you have to go through a little bit of police training yourself, or you had to wing it?
Yeah, I did want to do some ride-alongs before I shot the series, but it was there was COVID, so I wasn't able to do that. But I do have a few friends who have played police officers, so I consulted with them. I watched a few documentaries about, just the ins and outs of being a police officer, especially in Montreal. And I also was able to have a one-on-one session with a police officer in our rehearsal period about 2 weeks before the show started. So we could ask all the questions that we were too afraid to ask, a real police officer, I guess, just, in a everyday situation. So it was really nice. We learned how to handcuff, people as, I mean, even though I'm really not that good at it on the show, but, and, how to hold a gun, all that kind of stuff. So it was really nice that we felt confident, at least in, the basic stuff.
You know what? That is awesome for a lot of people. That's like a bucket list to pretend to be a police officer in its own
Yes. I definitely want to do a car chase. Maybe
way.
next season.
Hey, you know what? Who knows? There's plenty of mysteries left for this. So speaking of, let me start wrapping things up. Because not all the episodes are out yet. We're doing this interview in the mid season, so give us a little bit of tease of what should
Mm,
we expect for the rest of the season, since you kind of filmed this backwards.
I did. This was a long time ago. Um, I think the end of the season will leave people with their jaws on the floor. And I can't say more than that because that would be a major spoiler. But yeah, I think it's going to be a major jaw-dropping ending, and I'm so excited to see the reaction to this very emotional ending.
Wow, the emotional. Wow, that's going to be key. The only real spoilers that we know is not there's no car chases.
Is that there's what?
There's no car chases.
Yeah,
I li-
maybe
at least,
maybe
at
I'm
least
veering you in the wrong direction.
you know what? The what I'm actually crossing fingers rather than a car chase. I hope you do sort of like a horse chase, like like the Mounties or something like that. That would
I would love that. I grew up riding horses, so that would be just perfect.
right. that
Yeah,
would that would be perfect. That should be on the Canadian to be a Canadian thing for
right?
the list there.
Yeah, we have to send a list to the writers being like, so here's all the Canadian things we have to hit next season.
Well, Sarah, this is a terrific series. Everyone should actually watch it. I mean, I'm addicted to it. I love the characters, and it's funny to me. It's like going, gosh, how are these same people are not suspects every single week? but
Right?
that's I guess that's how the book series actually is
Rolls
written.
out. Yeah, the quirky village of Three Pines.
That's right. Well, Sarah, it's a delight. I can't wait to speak to you again on 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 again about this series, hopefully in the future, or possibly more projects from your adventures in near Montreal.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Next time.
Thank you so much for having me. Have a great day.